In today's video, I'm going to explain to you how to add new tickets into the Service Envoy system. I've built a lot of automation tools to allow you to more quickly enter tickets into the system. This includes platforms like FieldNation, WorkMarket, and a lot of the direct clients. I haven't built an automation tool for every single client, but I have built it for several of the most common ones, and I'm adding more. Typically, this feature is only available to those of you who have bought the direct client package. But if you still want to use the Service Envoy system, I'm going to give you a couple of clients for free that you can add in and use the automation PDF extraction tools. If you buy the direct client package, then all of the clients in the package are automatically imported into your profile, so they're automatically ready for any automation that I have created. If you're just going to use the Service Envoy web app without the direct client package, there is a way for you to get the automation for FieldNation and WorkMarket. When you add FieldNation as a client, you want to make sure that the short name, this is the abbreviated name, is spaced just like this and spelled just like this, that it's Field Space Nation. Capitalization doesn't matter. WorkMarket is the same way. The short name needs to be WorkMarket with a space in between work and market. The client legal name is their legal name that needs to show up for their certificates of insurance, but that is not what the automation is built on. It is built on the short name. So if you add FieldNation with Field Space Nation and WorkMarket with Work Space Market, then my automation tools will automatically kick in for those clients. Now let me show you how to add new tickets into the system. I'm going to be demonstrating with FieldNation and WorkMarket tickets, so you can see how that works. From your Service Envoy dashboard, you're going to go to Field Service, New Ticket. You're going to enter the client name. Depending on which client you choose, there's different variables that I've built into the system that are customized for those different types of clients. For FieldNation and WorkMarket tickets, the first step is to get a PDF of the work order. FieldNation and WorkMarket do not have any kind of API system where we can automatically pull the information, so it has to come off of the PDF. So for FieldNation, you'll hit the print button, which will give you the option for the PDF. And on WorkMarket, you will hit the little gear icon and go to print to get the PDF off of WorkMarket. There are some clients that block that print ability because they may have their own custom attached work order. For those, you'll have to manually enter them into the Service Envoy web app. Once you have your PDF, you're going to hit Browse, select the PDF you want to import, and you'll get a green bar here that kind of explains what it pulled, and as you look through the ticket, you'll be able to see what was actually pulled. FieldNation and WorkMarket both have a standardized web address for every single ticket. The only difference is the ending, which is the actual ticket number. So the web link will be saved into the trip logs and into the ticket records and onto the calendar that's created with the new ticket. That gives you the ability to easily click a link that takes you right to the ticket so that you can do your FieldNation and WorkMarket side check-ins. I've built the system to detect if it's a set time frame or a variable time frame ticket. So in this case, you'll see that this was a hard start at 7:15 a.m. on the 5th. So you'll see it's pulled the set time frame, the 5th, 7:15 a.m. It's going to look to see whose profile it's under. Now, if you're a single tech, then this is pretty automatic. It's always going to be you. But if you have sub-techs working for you, then it actually matters because you need to know whose profile to log into, or your techs need to know which profile to log into to access the ticket. Of course, you as an admin can get to all the tickets. If you have subtext, then they're going to log into their own profiles, so they need to know for sure this ticket is under this profile. And that's going to be pulled from right here, the assigned provider. The repair type, we just have generic categories for just general information to know, okay, this is the type of job that we're doing. There's so many variables that I can't just automate this. So you'll pick a category that fits whatever you think this is, and this will show up on the calendar and in the description of the trip log and things like that. Site name, so it pulls the site name from the PDF. It pulls the site number and separates them into separate fields, pulls the address, zip code, then the rate type. Now on the PDF, there's no rate information. So that's something you'll have to manually look at the website to enter in yourself. So you can select it's either flat, hourly, blended, just like FieldNation, WorkMarket, all these platforms, and even some direct clients have this set up. These are the three categories you typically see. So we're going to say it's hourly, and we'll just manually put in that it's $75 an hour. Now the rate limit is the pre-approved amount. So when you're on Field Nation, you will see your hourly rate, and then you will see the max number of hours. And so that's what we put in as the rate limit. In this case, it's actually $70 an hour, and it is a rate limit of 8 hours. Now, rate details is an optional field if you've got additional information that you want to put into the system to keep track of something, some discussion you had with the buyer or your direct client. Any travel pay that you've arranged, you can insert here, and this will take alphanumeric. It's not just a numeric dollar amount. You can put notes in. Assign text. So this is a separate field from the profile option, because in some cases with different clients, you may have a situation to where the ticket's assigned to a particular profile, but a different tech actually goes out and does the job. Obviously, you need to follow the rules of the platform or the client that you're on and make sure that the assigned tech and the profile match. But if for some weird reason you have a special circumstance where the buyer says they don't care, they don't want to bother swapping a ticket, or it's a direct client that just isn't hard-nosed about it, and it doesn't matter to them, then you can select a different person as the actual assigned tech. Again, if you're by yourself, these two fields are always going to be you. Here is the calendar setup. By default, this is going to be selected to create a calendar event, which we'll see here in a second. And then it automatically assumes today's date is the date the ticket was received. If you wanted to actually track tickets pretty closely to know, oh, I got these tickets in December and I got these in January, if you're at the very beginning of the month, it's going to default to, the first or the second or the third, but you may have received the ticket by email and been assigned to you a few days at the end of the month. So if that matters to you, you can change this. Otherwise, it's just going to default to today's date when you're creating the ticket. By default, it's also going to show the ticket status is active and site visit pending is the substatus. And these are important because these are going to allow the ticket to show up in different reports. Once you select this, then it's going to create the calendar event. So we're going to save and edit, or you could save anew if you were doing multiples in a row. And this takes you to the trip log. The Service Envoy system is set up where you have a single ticket record, and then you have trip logs for every trip, every visit to site, and every tech that goes to site. So if you have a 2-person job on one date, then you're going to have one ticket record and you're going to have 2 trip logs, one for each tech going to site. I set it up that way because sometimes you bill differently for the 2 techs. You may have one tech that's out there for 8 hours. You may have one tech that's out there for 4 hours. So in the past, before I implemented the trip log philosophy, it was always difficult to try to figure out, okay, well, I got 8 hours here, 4 hours here. How do I track the different notes and the different billing? So I set up trip logs. When you create the ticket and you save it, it's automatically going to take you to the trip log record. If you need to go back to the parent ticket record, then this is a clickable link to go to the actual ticket. And this is actually a clickable link to go to the Field Nation client record if you need to go look at something for Field Nation or direct client or whoever. Here you'll see that web link that takes you right to the Field Nation site to that ticket. I've tried to design everything so that it's seamless and gives you all the options you could possibly think of. I mean, I use this system every day, so I've tried to build it where I can just bounce around between sites and have everything at my fingertips. Let me show you right quick what happens with the calendar. That ticket was for February 5th, so we're going to jump to the next week. There is the ticket, and if we click on it, it gives you a summary. It pulls some of the scope of work off of the PDF. I would still rely on Field Nation's website. This is just purely informational. We have a pattern for our title, and it's always going to be client name, ticket number, that selection that you said, what type of job it is, STF or VTF to show you if it's set time frame or variable time frame. Is it hourly? Is it flat? Is it blended? That's going to show up here. What's your cap on hours? So if they've only pre-approved 2 hours, and it's going to say 2 hours, then your site name and your site number, so that you pull this up on your mobile device, you'll actually have a clickable link to navigate to the site, and when you get to the site, you'll have this right on your calendar showing what you're looking for. I'm looking for a Williams-Sonoma. Then it'll show what tech this ticket is assigned to. Then you'll have your links here at the bottom. This will take you directly to the Field Nation site, to that specific ticket, or Work Market, or your direct client, whoever. and then you'll have the link to go back to the trip log record. We work most of the time in the trip log records. The ticket record, again, is the parent record. I usually just update it through the billing process and then through the completion process to mark it closed. And what I want to show you is how the calendar functionality works if you have a variable time frame ticket or a multi-day ticket. And I think this is very helpful because you'll have those situations where you might pick up a ticket that lasts for a week. I've set it up so that if it is a multi-day project, it creates a trip log for every single day for every single tech that goes to site. That allows you to check into and check out of each trip log and make individual notes for that date. I found as an employer, and even myself, when I go out on a multi-day job, if I don't make notes that day of, then by the time I get to the 6th or 7th day, or if I don't add my notes right away, you do so many jobs that you forget all the little details that you want to be able to communicate to the buyer or the client to let them know, okay, this is why it took longer than expected, so this is why I'm justifying a request for additional money. By creating individual trip logs that allows you to check in and out in the Service Envoy system, track your mileage for every day, track your notes for every single day, and track your time to compare against your Field Nation or your direct client. A lot of direct clients don't have time tracking, where you can log into an app. Field Nation, you can go to the Field Nation site and you can see the time log of when you checked in and out. But if you have a direct client, it doesn't work that way because you call them on the phone. So there's no reference point for you if you don't have a system like this set up to track your time. So let's say that this ticket was actually a multi-day project instead of just a single day project. You can go back to the parent ticket record, and then you can go change this to a 3-day project. And then it's going to ask you, are they consecutive days? Basically, from the start scheduled date, straightforward 3 days. Or is it weekdays only? Does it skip weekends? So if we say that it's weekdays only, we save this. Now we go back to our calendar. We look at next week. Now you're going to have a trip log entry for the 5th, for the 6th, and it skips the weekend and shows up on the 9th. If I go back to the actual ticket record, I can see all of my trip logs here. They're all scheduled for these dates. I'm going to change this to actually be for today's date so that I can demonstrate the check-in. So now if I go to the calendar, I go to the event, I go to my trip log. So you would have your mobile device, you'd have your calendar up, you would click view trip log, then you'd have an option for check-in. And obviously when you're done, you'll check out. And you'll be able to do that for every single trip log. So if you had a month-long project, when you create the ticket, you would actually tell it that it is a multi-day project. You can say 1 week, 2 week, 1 month, and it will create a trip log on every single day of that time period and skip weekends if you say, to avoid weekends. This is a really nice way to augment these online platforms and your direct clients. Let me demonstrate creating a work market one so you can see the similar process. Get a new ticket. This is going to be work market. I'm going to browse for my PDF that I've already printed. So it already pulls the ticket number from the PDF. It already creates the ticket web link that's clickable. This ticket is a variable time frame. The new ticket form extracted that from the system, showing that it's January 29th through February 8th. So you'll see that it's 29th through the 8th. Start time's 8 until 11. Again, the profile, we're going to say that it's network software, the site name, and then the site number. There's no actual site number on this, so it skips that value without errors. Pulls the address. Everything looks correct here. So our rate type, let's say that this is a flat rate of $250. Let's say that the rate limit is 4 hours. Travel pay assigned tech is going to be me. We're going to create the calendar event. So we're going to save and edit, which takes us to the trip log. And then if we click on this button, we can jump right to the calendar, or we can of course go to the calendar here. This is starting on the 29th, so I'm going to click this option instead of going this way just to show you the different options. This takes me right to that calendar event. We can jump back to the trip log, or we can click directly to go to the actual work market ticket. Once you've added a ticket into the Service Envoy system, you will see it showing up in trip log reports. Since we had scheduled that one for today, then it shows up in today's open trip logs. If it was scheduled for tomorrow, it would show here. Then you'll actually have a full listing of all your tickets and all your trip logs on these different forms as well. That's the basics of setting up a new ticket in the Service Envoy system. Each client has a slightly different process on the new tickets form, but it's all the same principle. I've just made changes based on their particular delivery method and their work order layout form, but the same concept applies. It's going to extract as much information as is possible off the PDF to save data entry time and auto-create your calendar events, auto-create the trip logs, and get everything in the system where it's easy for you to manage all your tickets. These import features are only available if you have the direct client package. If you sign up for the Service Envoy app and you add your own clients, then they are not assigned my customized importing features. So by having the direct client package, it gives you a lot more power. Number one, you get all the clients that you can make contact with and sign up with to become vendors for them nationwide. And then number two, all the little customizations that I've made to make ticket adding easier and the whole process easier becomes available to you. If you have just signed up for the web app service and you haven't bought the direct client package, that's fine. You can still manually enter all of your tickets. The same functionality exists for you. You just have to do more manual entry than having the PDF imports work for you. So that's how you add tickets into the Service Envoy system. Thanks for your time.